July 19th, Wembley Stadium, Daniel Dubois beats Oleksandr Usyk.
How do you get to a point where you, besides the emotive connection with thinking that Daniel is in a better place than he was before, there's been no decline in Usyk, and we know we've got Usyk in the background leaving him as a promoter, but none of us think that's going to really affect Usyk. I've described Daniel Dubois as an irresistible force that might just be coming up against the immovable object. How do you reach the point where you are aligning upon Daniel Dubois beating Usyk? And we've been wrong every time we put against Usyk, it's gone the other way.
I was going to say, firstly, do not agree with me because you do get them ones wrong.
I do agree with you, by the way.
Oh, you do?
I think that's because I want it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, look.
So you're both picking Dubois?
Absolutely. So I know Daniel Dubois. I see him work from day to day. I know what they're working on tactically. Go back to 2023 when Dubois lost to Oleksandr Usyk, and you say, all right, yeah, look, they seem quite far apart there. He had his moments, Daniel, but Usyk was sort of leagues above him then. Oleksandr Usyk has not got better since then. There's a lot of miles on the clock since then. There's no sign of deterioration. But what I'm saying is Daniel Dubois is a different character, a different animal from then.
You're saying that Usyk has not got better since fighting Daniel Dubois, even though he's dealt with Fury.
Yeah, absolutely. That doesn't mean he's improved. I think the two fights
got worse either, does it?
No. The two fights with Fury. I'm just doing this. It's a calculated gamble. I think the two fights with Fury would have put some miles on the clock with Usyk, and Daniel Dubois, since the Usyk loss, has improved dramatically. And I mean dramatically, not just physically, mentally as well. This is a different fight to the first one. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. Before we get you involved, Adam, let's hear what Duke McKenzie, three-time freeweight world champion, had to say about this very subject matter.
Again, it has to be Usyk for me.
How does he win?
I think he probably stops Dubois late in this fight. Because Dubois, like I say, Dubois has to make this fight into an absolute bloodbath. He's got to hound and chase Usyk, and in doing so, he's going to leave himself open because he's going to fight at a frenetic pace. The question has to be, can he keep the pace up for the 12 rounds? And then he's got to hope at the end of the 12 rounds, Usyk is busted up in such a way that the referee could potentially stop the fight. I just don't see it now.
I mean, I have to say, when you listen to Duke McKenzie, he's very rarely wrong. Do you agree with his assessment there?
It's a very accurate assessment. I think Oleksandr Usyk is the best fighter in the world. And I've been in training camp. I've seen him up close. I've seen what he goes through. Before the Fury fight, I thought he would probably have the better of Tyson in that second fight. And I think the rounds, as they ticked on, he was just more and more superior. I thought Tyson actually boxed really well second time. Look, Oleksandr Usyk is a phenomenon. I agree with Spencer that Daniel Dubois is a much, much better mentally and physically athlete, fighter, person, maturity than he was a couple of years ago. He's on a fantastic run. Those wins, that gutting out win over Jerome Miller to stop him. Hrgovic, again, taking the licks in the first 3 rounds. And Joshua, of course, absolutely phenomenal.
But this is a whole different animal.
This is a whole different animal. And look, he has to, as Duke said, he has to just keep the pace at him. He's got to work the body. He's got to take risks. Yes, he's got power. He's a phenomenal fighter, Daniel Dubois. However, Usyk's so clever. He's so good in rematches. He's so good on his feet. He's going to have to hope that he's on the decline, and I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think the decline's... It's a strong word. I'm saying that Daniel Dubois' improvement has been incredible. Like, when you watch him day to day, strategically, Simon, what they're going through in the gym, the things that they're working on, they're watching videos back and looking at the strengths and the weaknesses of Oleksandr Usyk. And you're right in what you're saying so many ways. Like, this guy's the best of the modern era. There's no doubt about that. But you look at what Daniel's working on, the game plan that they've got, and let me tell you, he's got a real shot in this fight. The kid has improved dramatically, but they've seen stuff that I like, and that's why I'm just going, I think...
But it's about the ability, seeing something and being able to execute it, two different things, aren't they?
100%, Simon. I totally agree with that.
Is it a case, boys, that Daniel Dubois has to be the very best version of Daniel Dubois on the day, and maybe Usyk has to be 2 or 3% off for that outcome to be that we are advocating?
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
And what I like about Daniel is that he's been to Wembley in front of 96,000 and he's done a job.
Didn't even blink,
Didn't even blink on AJ. The problem is that was his last fight. Usyk was active in December. He didn't have that match up with Joe Parker in February. I wonder if being out of the ring might affect him just that little bit, or it could tune him up and make him... He's very hungry. He's a much better specimen than he was 2 years ago. He's learnt from that.
Yeah.
I've so much respect for Daniel Dubois. The fact he's come back from those defeats to Joe Joyce, to Oleksandr Usyk, and he's the best version of himself going into July the 19th. He has a chance, a live chance in this fight, but he's got to stop Usyk. Chisora was the one person, and I thought Usyk won that fairly comfortably.
He showed a blueprint for it,
but Chisora was the one person that closed the gap, all of that sort of stuff. Maybe Dubois can do that. Maybe he can work the body. Maybe Usyk will just not have what he has. But I just think I just think he'll have trained incredibly hard again, and I've seen the footwork, and I think he just paints a picture brilliantly, and in rematches as well. He finds a way.
If Daniel were to win in the pantheon of great outcomes, where would you rate this?
Right up there. I mean, right up there. He's never lost Usyk as a professional. You know, a cruiserweight legend, a heavyweight legend, Olympic gold medalist in this country. You've got to look at the big upsets in world boxing. The Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson, the Andy Ruiz, AJ, those sort of things.
Lloyd Hannigan, Don Curry.
Hannigan Curry, John H. Tracy and Napoli's. Yeah. It's up there, isn't it?
Absolutely. It fits right up there. You know, I think if Daniel Dubois can pull this off, and
as high as that sort of comparison.
Yeah, when you're looking at a guy that's been...
He's going to become, if he wins, he becomes the undisputed heavyweight champion at Wembley Stadium against the best fighter of this era. Yeah. It has to be.
It'd be interesting to see, before we go to your second prediction, Adam, it'd be interesting to see the difference is that whilst he goes in as an underdog, he walked into Wembley with everyone waiting to anoint, I've said it a number of times, waiting to anoint Anthony. The crowd will be not waiting to anoint Usyk, they'll be waiting to support Daniel Dubois. And it'll be interesting to see how his mental approach reacts to the fact that he'll be heavily supported in this one, rather than going in there, people wondering how he's going to cope with Anthony Joshua while everyone's waiting for Anthony Joshua to accede to his rightful throne.
But the crowd will be interesting, because I think Usyk's a bit of a hero as well here, and I think he's very well respected in England.
I think
rightfully so, by the way.
I feel like Daniel's going in here now, and he knows what he's going into in this one. I've talked to the team about that as well. Like, they know what they're expecting. He went in there, he looked like a gladiator walking into the ring. He surprised everyone because we thought he was going to freeze.
Yeah, he did.
This time, he's going in there. When you speak to him, right, when you have, like, conversations about it, and he's looking at the arch down at the gym where we train, and you see it, and he goes through all this stuff. He's out there regularly watching it. He's one of those guys that works like that. When you speak to him, there's a little twinkle in his eye, this little smirk that comes on his face where you go, he actually really fancies this job, and that makes him a dangerous
Last time
guy.
I was up at the house, it was the AJ fight was just on repeat. It was just like he was almost living it, and I think he really fancies this Daniel Dubois.
So he should. Otherwise, he'll have no chance, will he? Look, let's go on to your second prediction.
Yes, second prediction, the trilogy. Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev gets made. I think maybe December, and maybe with AJ Wilder. How about that as a doubleheader?
Yeah.